Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We've got a filing from Ripple in response to SEC's latest actions in the SEC versus Ripple case, and we've got the legal analyst to break it down. And we've got, you know what? We got so much more. Somebody just rolled that beautiful intro. Here we go.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.34 trillion market cap for crypto. It's up 3.2% this morning. Good morning to everybody. 30,700 plus for Bitcoin at the moment. Ethereum, $2,111.08. It is screaming this morning, up 5.4% on the 24-hour and 12.8 on the 7-day. Tether is 80.8 billion plus. Oh my, oh my. You know how I feel. I'm not going to get into it. 52 cents for XRP. It's up 3.9% on the 24-hour and 5.2 on the 7-day. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked this out, it's Jason Cousins from Glint. And I tell you something, it's gold, baby. Yeah, gold price broke the new multi-month highs on Thursday on bets that the Federal Reserve will start cutting interest rates this summer. Gold jumped above $2,045 per ounce. It's the highest since March 2022 spike on Russia's invading Ukraine, as we all know. Gold is security. Glint, it's key. I'm telling you, check it out and see if it's right for you. I love it, and so do so many other people. It is a great way to really have physically allocated gold, and if should you need to spend it, it is outside of the normal banking system, and I just absolutely love that. MasterCard debit card comes with that account. Click the link, check out my sponsor, and you will love it too. Right here, we see this. Ripple Counsel criticizes SEC slow response in producing documents. You know, it is really, really deplorable because this is what Stuart Alderati says, legal counsel for Ripple. Shout out to him. He says, first of all, he shares Cointelegraph. Congressman tells SEC chair to stop balking and give up the information. We'll get into that in just a second. But Stuart Alderati chimes in and says, sound familiar? It only took us 18 months and 6 court orders to get documents from the SEC, which are still sealed from the public. But this is what we're talking about here. It came originally from Eleanor Tarrant here. It was a letter on the failure to produce the requested information to Congress could result in the committee considering using compulsory process if necessary. You know, this is just, this is Gary Gensler's SEC. It's ridiculous. And Bill Morgan says it best. He says, how embarrassing for SEC chair to receive a letter like this using words such as impeding and indirectly threatening a subpoena. Now Patrick McHenry knows what Ripple went through trying to obtain the Hinman documents, which are still sealed from the public. And this here was something that was shared by Jim Filan here. This was originally back in May of 2022. It was when SEC official decrees Gurwal here decreed delay tactics used by some defense lawyers. Oh my goodness. They must have learned it from the SEC. If nothing else is clear, obviously the SEC is a huge bully. And if nothing else is clear beyond that, it's this. They don't embarrass very easily. Jim Filan reminds us right here that, you know what? Things keep happening in the SEC versus Ripple. And this right here was Ripple's response to the latest filing by the SEC's letter of supplemental authority regarding the SEC's motion for summary judgment. In other words, and thankfully for these legal analysts that I understand this, shout out to Jim, the SEC filed a letter in support of their own summary judgment. It was a very old reference of a case, the Upton case, and Ripple have filed a response to their filing, basically tit for tat, kind of canceling canceling that out. Bill Morgan sums it up best here. He says, thanks, James. He says, Ripple reminding Judge Torres that the Upton case, which was referenced by the SEC to support its summary judgment, in which the defendant's fair notice defense was allowed, is binding precedent, but the recent case the SEC relies on isn't, and is totally different on the facts and evidence anyway. And that is a key point to come away with on that. So we are very grateful for that information, no doubt about it. Here is another point that's made here, and it is basically Ripple's opposition, and it's really the strong sections that you see is why Ripple is making this claim, and it's on page 45 and 46. And it basically states here Ripple's opposition to the SEC's motion for summary judgment, dealing with the lack of clarity regarding digital asset regulation. Here's an extract so you can see the flavor of Ripple's point in its letter. And by the way, while we read this really quickly here, Jeremy Hogan has another breakdown on why the case is really leaning towards and really leaning in towards Ripple instead of the SEC. And it's quite powerful information. You're going to love it. Over the next few years, Ripple stated in their filing here, other leading analysts likewise conclude XRP was not a security. 2015 memo from another leading law firm advised Ripple that XRP does not appear to be a security under the Howey test. And then it also says here, and FinCEN publicly described XRP as a virtual currency, as we all know, and required Ripple's subsidiary to register as a money service business, a designation that is mutually exclusive with the SEC. So the plot thickens here, and the Ripple just continues to make their case. Now, this here is the number 2 reason from Jeremy Hogan. Shout out to him. You're going to love this thread. Ripple did not sell XRP as a security. The recent opinion from Judge Torres provides a clue as to how she might rightly find that XRP was not sold as a security. First, look at the version of Howey test she cites. She cites this very quickly. The issue in the case is whether defendants offered to sell or sold XRP as a security. Specifically, the SEC alleges the defendant sold XRP as an investment contract. This is important, which is a security defined under Securities Act, and it lists the act. Defendants argue that they did not sell XRP as investment contracts, and therefore, no registration statement was required. Ripple answer, it says here, the Supreme Court held that the test for an investment contract under the Securities Act is whether the scheme involves an investment of money in a common enterprise with profits to come solely from the efforts of others. Now, this is important that we get hip to that because this is what he says here. Jeremy Hogan says this. The judge states that prong 3 of the test is that the purchasers must have sought profit solely from the efforts of others. That was the original test, although decisions since have softened that requirement and basically removed solely from the test. Still interesting. As evidence that XRP purchasers were relying on the efforts of Ripple, the SEC retained an expert witness to provide an opinion. Now listen to this information. And, no surprise, he stated what he was hired to say. But the judge specifically struck that part of his testimony in her recent order, as you can see cited right here. This leaves the expert witness, number 3, as the sole expert to testify about the third prong of the test. Expert number 3 testifies in short that Ripple manipulated the price of XRP, but the question asked by the test is what XRP purchasers thought or knew when they were buying XRP. This is where it gets really, really good. And nowhere does the expert number 3 state that the XRP purchasers knew anything about price manipulation. In fact, the expert states that what Ripple was doing was being done in secret, so people wouldn't know. Without connecting Ripple's actions to behavior, the testimony fails as proof. Damn. which leaves the SEC with a cacophony of various statements made by Ripple as its evidence of the number 3 prong. These include marketing materials, tweets, and statements that increase in XRP's price was Ripple mania. And the evidence that XRP buyers saw these things, nada. Ripple, on the other hand, has witnesses that testify XRP was publicly deemed a currency and an asset, not a security. Yes, the SEC found 6 XRP holders involved in a class action to say otherwise, but Ripple has thousands of XRP buyers to counter those statements. Finally, the SEC's own expert admitted that most XRP price movement since 2018 has no relation to anything Ripple does. For those reasons, the overwhelming majority of the evidence is that XRP purchasers did not rely on the efforts of Ripple. No reasonable juror could possibly view the paucity of evidence presented by the SEC and come to the conclusion that SEC met its burden of proving prong number 3 of the Howey test. Therefore, Ripple should win. Second reason. Thanks for reading. Especially you awesome law clerk. We love it. I love it. Shout out to Jeremy Hogan. Shout out to John Deaton. Shout out to Jim Filan. And shout out to Bill Morgan and every other legal analyst that keeps us straight out here. Now let's take a look at this, because there's a lot of people that say XRP might send the top cryptocurrencies to Valhalla if determined not to be a security. And I tell you, you could make a good argument about that. And Egrad Crypto, technical analyst, says, watch out for the XRP Alligator Jaws closing. Well, tell me more. ASO, which is the average sentiment indicator here, has previously spotted the major pumps on the monthly time frame. ASO provides indication of the pump, but cannot define the magnitude of the pump. ASO formation is building an impressive, monumental bullish setup. When the pinkish line crosses the bluish line, expect fireworks, he says. Flipping the 20 MMA into support will be the most indicative indicator that XRP is going to pump. And you can see here where these moments that cross happen, right? So here we see this, and we're talking about the largest jaw right here. And if you get that cross, you could maybe expect a breakout to the upside. But again, these are charts. They're leading indicators. They're not absolute predictors. So you have to watch these things to see if anything changes on the chart and whether it plays out to the leading indicator or whether it breaks and fails and falls down to some lower price support that we don't want to see, right? But that's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned and catch this next video. Ripple Liquidity Hub is launched and live and on the go, and boy, do we have a lot for you to see on that one. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.